Hey everyone, it's Pastor Matt Jensen again. We're going to be going over for the next few minutes the sermon discussion guide for Sunday, November 17th. So you can pull it up on a side window, you can print it off like I have here, and we're going to be going over it. So we're still in the series called Focus, and this particular message that Jason has given or will give, depending on when you watch this, is all about Psalms of Lament. People even call it Psalms of Disorientation. Basically, complaint psalms. Complaint poetry and songs at the crossroads of life's just hardship and human realness and rawness, and then trying to figure out how this can be so formative in our walks in our Christian life, and what does that mean for God? Does He accept it and all that stuff? So we're going to be going over that in this study. So we're going to warm up with two icebreaker questions there. It's the idea behind these is to get people just thinking about complaining. You want to get people complaining, talking about it. It's great team building, very uplifting. Let's talk about complaining together. And then we're going to go into the Hear God's Story. Now, because of the theme of lament and bringing God into our mess, these questions, just for this one guide, we're going to talk about our feelings as well as God in these. So that's one distinction that's just focused on this particular guide because of the topic. The first question there, really exploring, are you emotionally honest? Are you really emotionally honest, or you just think you are? And so we're going to be going deeper into that. The second question, the main theme behind that is the role of God and others that He works through. And so you're complaining to God, you're just being emotionally honest and real with God. What role does He play in that? And then what role does the community of believers that He sets around us, our friends and family, what do they play? Then the third question there, the third question here is always a little bit meatier. It's going to take a lot more time as an option for you than the first two questions. And so for this one, you're looking at all of Psalm 22. It's kind of a larger psalm, and you're going to be breaking it down into its various literary movements to try and track, okay, he's complaining to God, and then how in the world, in the end, does he get to trusting Him and praising Him? So you're going to be following that along. And then asking yourself, how can we speak hope to ourselves the same way David did in this psalm? So he's speaking it to himself. He's speaking hope to himself amidst just this horrible time that he's going through. And then we go into the create a new story section, the application section. The first one here is kind of a homework assignment. Jason's going to be challenging everyone in the sermon to create your own lament this week. And then the question there at the end for your group to talk about, when are some realistic times this next week that you can sit down and actually do this exercise? And so kind of hold people accountable, like, okay, we're going to do a lament sometime. But when you're with your group, say, okay, yeah, when? You have a busy schedule. Tuesday afternoon, does that work for you? Things like that. Then the second question there, it's just basically a brainstorm on emotional honesty. How can we actually have tools and kind of work out this muscle of emotional honesty with God, with others, and ourselves? And then go in the deeper section, it's basically just Psalm 13 as a model for lamenting. So with lament psalms, there's so many. A majority of the psalms are lament type psalms or psalms of disorientation. So I picked 13. I like it. I think it really touches on everything that Jason's trying to do in this message. And so there's a little intro. You're going to read it with your group, and then a verse-by-verse analysis here. But panning out, the thought behind the verse analysis is to show us that David's initially like, you've forgotten me and everything is horrible. He's just really a kind of an Eeyore, a Debbie Downer, right? But he's like, yeah, this is real. I feel like, God, you are not even here. And then at the end of the psalm, he's like, man, you're awesome and I'm praising you. Okay, how in the world did he get there? And so we're going to be tracking that with your group. And then the discussion question, what's one impactful thing you've learned in this study? And what's one question you still have? And then recommended reading I have, Rachel's Cry. I've read a lot of books on lament. I think this is one of my favorites. It's written by two doctorates in theology. One teaches at Lutheran School of Theology in Chicago, and the other one teaches at Princeton Theological Seminary of Systematic Theology. But it's a scholarly work, but thankfully it's not written like a scholarly work, and so it's very approachable and readable, and it's fun. So I put that down there too if you want additional reading on the subject. But other than that, happy lamenting.